called JJ or Zhang Jianjun, January, pronounced January and June, right? Helps. Jianjun, yes. Jianjun, Zhang or Zhang Jianjun, yeah. So January and June, Jianjun. or JJ. And so welcome to see the piece in the museum. I'm originally from Shanghai, and now also living in New York. So half the time, since I'm teaching at NYU, New York University. So NYU opened the Shanghai Center. So we bring the student 3 years ago. Yeah, 3 years ago. So school bring the student from New York to Shanghai. So my boss, the chair, said, "Hey, JJ, go." So that's why I'm spent one semester in Shanghai and one semester back to New York. And actually, it's a really wonderful experience. Like, you know, when I educate, I was born in Shanghai, educate in Chinese culture. But when I came to United States, it's really a complete different culture, which is like it's amazing, wonderful. It's to absorb. I mean, the word maybe I used not quite right, but because the first 2 years I little bit kind of confusing. Like when I left China, I come to the States, and then the culture slightly drop off, and the new is not quite. Yes, it's louder. Okay, all right. And
okay now.
yeah, okay. Yeah, I should a little bit louder. I should. Yeah, and so that's for certain years I kind of like a little bit lost. The past seems like a little bit with a distance, but new I'm not really can completely jump into the water in the pond. But until one day I really suddenly I saw I'm like a bridge, adapt under the river on the two sides, and it suddenly crossed in my mind. So after that, my artwork it started changing the direction. I started using modern medium with traditional Chinese culture, but I don't want to just simply copy Chinese culture like we saw in the magazine or masterpiece. They're wonderful, but I want to get those the sense, the feeling. But for the art form, I want to create. I want to use in the contemporary language to translate, combining with the tradition. So the two cultures, how to adapt each other's. And for this piece I call Shanghai Garden. Shanghai Garden, because it seems like this the work show is about the Shanghai, and the garden is very oriented tradition culture. The garden always with the rock, with the stone, and also with the trees, plant. So of course there's little trees, and its idea is I want to combine it because I left China for many years, and once I went back, I saw this society is a huge, complete change, good or bad, both way. But the images as an artist, I thought, gee, I want to really use in this energy or this elements. It's old and new, tradition, modern, east, west. Sometimes almost no transition, just squeezing, crashing together. So that's took me a year or two. I started to think about Taihu rock, and it's a very traditional form. But what I did is I've been collecting many rocks since long time ago, and I reformed the rock partially, and then I make a mold. So using the cast silicone rubber, which is it's a modern material. It's a very modern material. The first two pieces I did for Hollywood, the party they ordered. The two pieces I did using Chinese product, and that moment looks good. But afterwards, it's failed. It's not really. So later, I import from United States and working in my studio in Shanghai. Yeah. So again, the color I want to bring. There's some very new fashion, new cultural movement. Yes, right. And this one I special designed for this space, for the color. That too I did it before, but this one I thought for this because when you're working on the public art or sculpture in the public space, you want to deal with the surrounding environment.
So what do you call that color?
Burgundy. you guess I like drinking wine. And so that's again I here I want to create a garden. It's I call societal landscape. It's a landscape, but it's linked with the what's happened today in the city in Shanghai, because those bricks belongs to those Shikumen, and which is the Shikumen is one very interesting building started design combining European and Chinese during the 1920s. Only happened in Shanghai. Yeah, only happened in Shanghai, and 20s, 30s continuing, and that's but nowadays disappearing. It will be turned down because the new one, yeah, big tall one they want. But that's sad or whatever is. But as artists, I want to. That's part of the history, right? And there's gonna be another video. Gonna be hanging on that side. It's a TV screen. It's monitor. I did a performance on the Shikumen side. What I did is. I use a very traditional Chinese art form, calligraphy brush, a jar, a bucket of water, and a rice paper mount on the blackboard, and instead of an easel, I like artists draw a building landscape in front of those tear down the Shikumen buildings. When I dip the water, using brush, dip the water to draw the building, and about 10 minutes, because when I use water to draw, because beneath the rice paper has black ink board. So once it's wet, though you show this ink line, and afterwards it goes away, right? Once the water's dry, the images gradually fade away. So that's the whole process. So I behind my easel, behind me, there is a video camera and the photographer document the process. So I want to, the viewer, like within 10 minutes, can see those history or historical movements, things changing. It's wash out. So that's the two pieces. Actually, it's two different art forms, but they're connected. And any questions?
How many bricks do you have here?
3,000.
Are you going to take them back to Shanghai, or are you going to auction them off?
Do I need to sign each one?
Good idea.
Good idea.
Shipping is expensive.
Yes, yeah.
We can sign them.
Yeah, it is very special, all handmade. During that time, it's all handmade, the brick. Each one, actually, you're right, each one are really like individuals. I mean, once we're working on that, each one, the size is slightly different. And yeah, because, the shape, because I thought they told, like, the farmers, they like using this clay to harm, then made it, yeah, yeah. And yes.
These are from the Shikumen project.
Yes, from Shikumen. And actually in the catalog, they have pictures. The pictures, that's the bricks from that complex. Yeah. Yes.
I'm confused about your trees. Are they saplings? Are you planting?
Because it's the garden. I want there's some leaf trees, right? That's a garden, and the rock and the trees. But then there's two ways. I can put a real tree, and every day museum staff can water them. One way, it's cool, it's fine. There's another. I did a long time ago, yeah, and did a living tree with drawing tree. With one is like nature, and one is the culture. I did that, and this one I want to bring some fantasy. You know, because like I mentioned before, I want to create a garden, really like a break out like a different time, old, 100 years ago, and there's something new, current. But it's a garden, but already with many messages. It's a different cultural time, fashion different.
That's why they're moving.
This movie is from the solar light. I wanted the movie. Yeah. And also for the viewer, once you're moving, you're really touching. You see there's something live, instead of just like see everything, beautiful setting. It's great. And
Did you climb these? So you adopted, or did you actually order?
I ordered, then I made the garden. See, I made.
Ordered something. You invented.
Yeah, invented. Yeah, and then I made the rice paper, and again I using this. This one's very energy, small one. It's a teenage, a lot of energy. It's moving. See, and then I made this the box, and then almost like flower pot, and then outside the rice paper, and then brought here. See, and then like that, all clean. When I put it here, I said, wait a second, there's too much pump out. I want to more blend into it. So I take some partially. So that's become like do painting. You know, sometimes because my first major is oil painter. I mean, Western style oil painting. So you do painting, suddenly one brush stroke take too much out, right? You want to soften a little bit. So that's I started using this the dust to soften.
So these are actually I saw people vacuuming.
Yeah.
Why do they have to remove all the dust?
I think I don't want too much dust, and to vacuum, and eventually tomorrow we're gonna cut here the edges, so all the rubber gets moved out. So underneath have rubber, which is to protect the floor.
Right.
Yeah.
And then will this get in so
People can get closer. Yeah.
Did you say the insides are this is solar?
The solar.
But what is the actual underneath the paper?
Plastic? The plastic.
And they're all different sizes?
Different sizes. That's only one small one. I ordered some, they're only like one.
It's a battery?
Yeah.
Is it a battery?
No battery, solar.
Solar.
The light. No battery, yeah, solar
There's a lot
power.
of children that are going to want to get one of those. We could definitely sell those. We're going business together.
And long time ago, I did another installation in the Shanghai Art Museum, also using the 400 years old bricks with some rock. The rock I used, the material used sumi ink, block in a dry sumi. And I allowed the audience walk through this bricks. It's because I think as artists I enjoy artwork. First you visually see it, right? Or you smell, or you're touching, or you're walking through, because that definitely feels different when walking on the marble or walking on those.
You want the immersion experience.
Yeah. But of course for the because that's in quite a public area, and for safety, so this time we're not allowed audience. No.
America, your liability.
Yes.
When you came to the States.
Excuse me.
These bricks are 400?
No, not this one. This is 1923. 23. Yeah, the one I did before 2002. So I used that one. I showed the Shanghai Art Museum. So that brick is about 400 years old.
How old were you when you came to the States?
Good question. I came here 87 when I was assistant director for Shanghai Art Museum. So I'm not young.
What about the pond?
Yes.
That one.
Be there on opening night?
Yes, yeah.
Wednesday? Oh, good.
Yeah, I will be here 10, but 11 I'm gonna fly back to Shanghai.
Wednesday night.
Wednesday night.
Oh, great.
Yeah, 11 because I'm also working in the public sculpture in Shanghai. Have the run, yeah, and also preparing for NYU. The student gonna come in soon. So after opening, I just go back. And that one is again, I use the Chinese antique, Han Dynasty antique from 2,000 years old, and partially it's old, like this part is I collect a real antique ceramic, but continuing I sculpting, making a sculpture, and then I cast making mold, cast it to the silicone rubber. It's the same. It is the same. It's the same concept. Like the rock, right? Like very cultural, like a container. It's a foundation container, capture time and the cultural form. So I use an old, adapt to the new. I see the shape. That's a continuous shape because, right? I think it's for me. I think the shape really shows a culture, certain time, like say Bauhaus time. In the movements, right? Speed, straight, and tradition very slow, long. But nowadays, computer time, twisting, moving, right? So again, I getting those two squeezing together, to put them together, because that's really see like a cultural movements, like a rope. It's all connected, old and new. Always, it's not like it's okay. Here it's new, here it's old. So always adapt the past and keep going. So that's I'm doing. So I get some new curve edges, and then again using the new materials.
You cast it in a mold?
Yeah.
Did you cast it in a mold? Because it looks like there's foil.
First I have a piece broken antique, and I sculpting. I sculpting using clay, continuous sculpt, and then when I finish, I casting again.
So you actually use a model from an antique
Yeah,
piece.
yeah. I use a real antique. So you get closer, the texture, the surface, has those texture like a 2,000 years old pattern. For instance, like here, see those. It's the original, the rock, the skin, the rock, the surface, the wrinkle. That's all. It's from nature. So all the details.
So you actually model with the real rock that
Yeah.
size?
Yeah.
Or you blow it up?
This size.
Wow.
The mostly, I mean, I change partially, but mostly is original. I have some my rock collection from small to big, and the one I currently working in much bigger.
Machiao or Banshang or something like that?
Huh?
Machiao or Banshang or... But he said he used Han. So
Han Dynasty. I use Han.
Neolithic.
Yeah, I use Han because the when I working on this serious work, I working on this is 97. So 13 years ago, I started working on this project. But the everything when I use it has to be real. I don't want, because there's a time from 2,000 years old or 500 years old to current. So the time is in my artwork.
That's why we have to ship these bricks.
Yeah. That's
Not from Home Depot.
not Home Depot. Yeah. No. Yeah.
Sorry,
So,
we're getting naughty.
Yeah. So that's
That's wonderful. But that whole, the pointed part was just your,
yeah. It's like I explained. I using different timing has certain shape edges. Really like in like a Bauhaus time, everything's straight, right? The movement, speeding, the industrial movements, and nowadays twisting, curving. Yeah. So I try to. That's actually is express my experience, visual experience when I'm back to China. So that's why I call this the societal landscape. When I'm back to China, you really see the old and new is there, and modern and tradition, Western, Oriental, everything is there, but you know, sometimes not like so smoother transition, like boom, like this cross. So I thought that become the concept, become the depth of the concept of my artworks. Yeah.
What was the inspiration for creating like a point from the round to the point? Like
The point. Is you talk about those? Yeah, that's the I just say the shape. Is the shape because the shape, right? Each object, the shape really really shows a certain culture and time. Like you know, like when I say Bauhaus, the building, or like street, right? It's the antiques, all very slow. Look at the back, the antique, the image is very slow around. But nowadays, because computer high technology, you see all the buildings, the many the new buildings, right? Yeah. It's become a new fashion, new culture movements. It's the newest.
So you're saying you're creating that.
Yeah. I try to squeeze in the tradition, old and new together.
So it's like the ancient curve
Yeah.
form
Yeah.
with the angularity of
Yeah.
modernity.
Right. Yeah.
The other piece, something, are you going to talk about the other pieces?
Yes, of course. Yeah. If you see the catalog, you see my sketch drawing, and there's they have brief ideas what I'm gonna doing. But when come museum very nice, and the curator museum they send me all the lined out space and the color of the building. So I kind of have an idea to what I'm working with. And when I come here, yes, every day we're changing, and like today, that's the reason we're not cutting the edges yet, because we may moving those the edges, the line, the shapes, because the edge of the sculpture is also, it's like doing painting, you know.
This is also moving bricks. You know the
Yeah.
Chinese tradition?
Yeah.
Taopan
Right. Yeah.
moving bricks.
Also, are each of these sculptures just sitting there, or are they affixed somehow to the pedestal?
Yes. Yeah. There's
somehow
some
affixed.
fitted pedestal.
Down?
Not that one. That one. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
But that
This
one
one.
is not, that one's just
This
sitting
one,
there?
it's sitting there. Itself is
Stable enough.
it's very stable.
Okay.
Yeah, it's very stable.
The idea, concept of the pedestal is simply to lift it up.
Yeah. Yeah.
Did you make the leaves? Or did you order
I ordered the leaf, but then I changed shape. I not changed the shape. I added something, and make it become a art. Yeah. Because for me, I think everything, a lot of art of the project is, if you translate, if you put the right place, it could be artwork, could be art, depending on how you touch it. Yeah.
We definitely would like that option on.
Is the color of the vessel, this one is your desire to do something modern and new, burgundy
Yeah.
or plum, and that is, this one seems sort of very, a different tone and everything.
Yeah.
So what inspired that?
It's a fashion. I went to the fashion store and then I checking, because every year fashion has a, right?
Color scheme.
Yeah, color. You know, there's a Japanese design store in Shanghai, and then there's many others. I check online, or I go to figure out. And also, not only for that, because I did numbers, I have some others, but this three has to be together, right?
What do
So,
you call that? Is it coral or corally pink or
uh,
peach or what?
color.
I mean, I thought you might have an English name for each of your colors. Plum or burgundy?
Burgundy.
Burgundy.
Well, I think that's a pink, right? Rose, pink, pink, light pink. It's more pink. Peach.
Peach or coral?
We can say peach, rose, and plum, but then we're reading, but then we're reading too much into it.
Right.
Oh, yeah, rose. Whatever.
Yeah. Yeah, when you asked before the question when I came here, right? It's 87. 87. I used to be working at the Shanghai Art Museum, and I was the youngest curator in China at that time. And I'm very lucky I received the fellowship from the Asia Cultural Council, the Rockefeller Foundation. So I'm the first artist they invite, they come here. So I came, and then the year after the program finished, I went back to China. And later, a year after, 89, so I moved back to New York again.
So Jie Shu wasn't there when you were there, maybe?
Jie Shu, he used to work in Shanghai Museum.
Yeah.
Yes.
What happened with the installation when you finished? The different
When it
pieces
finished?
were reassembled someplace else, or?
When it finished, I think it's gonna ship him back to Shanghai.
Okay.
Yeah.
Will you use it again, or use the pieces again? in
I can
a
use the
way?
piece again, but may change because depend on the space on the site. For instance, like this one, I changed the stand different because deal with the space. When I moved here, I realized this is quite high, so that's you have to deal with the space. So I changed. So yeah, every time you do change, yeah, you have to follow up the.
No, I just had a question about the answer.
Yeah.
Can I ask one more question? In the British Museum, there is a metal
Ah,
Taihu rock,
Right.
in the great big
right.
marker. Have you ever thought about doing something along that line?
Well,
That's not yours,
it's
right?
not my. Right.
Yeah.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Zhang, yeah. That's different. Actually, different concept.
Yeah.
Yeah. We
But
both
you don't
use
work in metal.
No, we don't. I'm not using metal. Yeah, yeah. Because both we using the scholar rock. There's another one using scholar rock, using paper. It's a woman sculptor living in Hangzhou. So we all using the rock as the base, as a media. But the three, we all have a different the ideas.
Thank you.
Thank you. Oh, thank you. Thank you. Thank you. 谢谢。